I'm disappointed, and I only have myself to blame. Anyway, let's play Atrian Odyssey. Oh, shit, I'm recording in the wrong resolution. Yeah, well, I'll just upscale the video just for this one video.
Responsive to threats that are personal, exotic, erratic, and dramatic than we are to threats that are, well, more likely. I love one of her examples. Imagine a world where cigarettes are harmless, but one cigarette pack out of every 18,750 contains a single cigarette laced with dynamite that, when lit, violently explodes, blowing the user's head off. People would be loudly and messily losing their heads every day all over the world. But in that imaginary universe, the same number of people would die every day because of smoking that already do. The results would just be more shocking, more immediate, and probably more likely to affect our decisions. Last month, I and some of my favorite YouTube creators met President Obama about the decisions Americans make when it comes to protecting themselves from the cost of staying healthy. The issue of healthcare is mired in conflict and debate matched only by the turmoil of risk assessment going on in our own minds. Our myelinated machines use more biases and shortcuts to evaluate probabilities than can fit in a single video, but a particularly strong example is the availability heuristic. Our tendency to think that something is more likely because it happened recently, or there are more examples of it happening available in our memories, not because it actually is more likely. We also over-exaggerate risks we don't have control over, while being comparatively fearless in the face of equal risks we nonetheless can control. Chauncey Starr's famous 1969 study on risk found that people were willing to accept risks 1,000 times greater if they could control them, for instance, driving a car, than if they didn't have control, for instance, a nuclear disaster. Let's talk about Abraham Wald. Only so much extra armor can be added to an airplane before it becomes too heavy to fly. Now, during World War II, the U.S. military noticed that planes returning from enemy territory were usually damaged around the wings, the body, and the tail gunners, so they put more armor on those areas. But it didn't make a difference. The same number of planes continued to be lost. So the military hired Wald for his mathematical superpowers. He told them to put what little armor they could on the parts of the planes that weren't being hit. Why? Well, because returning planes were survivors. They took damage in areas where a plane can take damage and survive. Damage to other areas caused the plane to not return. Wald was protecting them against survivorship bias, only paying attention to successes. A similar phenomenon is partly responsible for why music feels like it was just better back in the day than it is now. Is that really true, or are we just remembering the good stuff? Wald's work saved thousands of lives and made flying safer for many more. Tragically, a few years later, Wald and his wife died in an airplane crash. You can't predict how and when you will die. It's not that easy. But a few risk scoring systems have been created to make the discussion and comparison of hazardous behaviors clearer. The microport was conceived by Ronald A. Howard and is an amount of risk equal to a 1 in 1 million probability of dying. John Green discussed microports in a fantastic Mental Floss video you should watch if you haven't already. He points out that a single skydive temporarily increases your death risk by 7 microports, a 7 in 1 million chance of dying. That's the same as smoking 5 cigarettes. It's been estimated that you gain 1 microport for every half liter of wine you drink, every year you spend drinking Miami tap water, every 1,000 miles you fly in a jet plane,
What the hell's wrong with Miami tap water?
every 20 miles
Why was that used as the example?
and every 6 miles you travel by motorcycle or canoe. there is a happier unit of risk, the microlight. Proposed by David Spiegelhalter and Alejandro Oliva, a microlight is gained by doing healthful things. In small quantities, their benefits are roughly linear, and one microlight is the equivalent of 30 extra minutes of life. 20 minutes of moderate exercise gives you 2 more microlights. 2 hours of sedentary behavior, -1 microlives. Plenty of non-scientific websites exist that allow you to calculate when you will die based on your life expectancy and habits. PokeMyBirthday.com is a kind of goofy site that takes a nonetheless interesting look at not your death, but your birth. Enter your birthday and see when you were conceived, when your mother probably first realized she was pregnant with you, and the dates your parents created or moved into position the 2 cells that eventually became the 30 trillion cells that are now watching this video. Every single person who ever died right here on planet Earth. Except for 3. The crew of Soyuz 11. On June 30th, 1979, their cabin depressurized while returning to Earth before they crossed the agreed-upon boundary between Earth and outer space. Far from any populated area, a 3-sided metallic column sits where their craft landed in Kazakhstan. It's a remote memorial to humankind's remotest deaths. We haven't all died here on Earth, but so far we have all been born here. Thanks for being here. Stay safe, and as always, thanks for watching.
Let's complete that one request. It will be ever so easy to fulfill.
Which counts as a temperate biome. Then finally we'll take down a jungle tree to fill this 3x3 up for our sparse jungle spawning area, and in each of these we will plant 3 tadpoles. Once again, I'm not keen on my tadpoles just jumping off the mountain right away, so we're going to make sure that they can grow up in here safely with the blocks around the outside. Over here in the snowy biome, we need to make sure that the water doesn't freeze over into ice, so we'll probably need to surround this one with a liberal amount of torches. And here in the temperate patch, we'll make sure we have 3 tadpoles in there as well. And now all we have to do is wait another 20 minutes for all of these to grow up.
I get why there's an inventory limit.
Has already grown up,
but it does serve to make
the tadpole that
grinding a little more tedious than it ought to be.
When we brought it over here, because if you end up bucketing a tadpole after it's spent some time in the world, there we go, there's another one. The amount of time it's spent as a tadpole in the world still counts towards its overall growth. That's not going to reset when
I would like to say that the mod streamlines a lot of things about Atrium Odyssey, along with all the balance changes and how difficult this difficulty is. And the streamlining does technically make the game an overall easier experience.
sometimes the tadpoles
So while it is harder in some aspects, it's easier in some other aspects. And while you could argue some of the things it changed, some of the things it streamlined, only serve to make the game a lot more convenient and therefore fun. Like maybe maybe if the mod reduced random encounters, people would not mind that change. But like, the whole game is balanced around them. Now, well-balanced experience, if it's not fun, is whole inherently worthless. I do know that, but I enjoy the game for what it is, which I am fairly certain is an unpopular opinion. That's because I'm thinking as a game developer, not as a player. As a game developer, I can understand the choices and why they are and that they work. But the player is really only interested first and foremost about themselves and what advantages they can get out. Minimizing the maximizing to not have fun in their game or something. Someone said that once.
Well, it is currently snowing and raining at our frog breeding area, and what better way to illustrate the fact that we clearly have a snowy biome here with a couple of rainy temperate biomes, one here,
Oh damn.
one here. We finally have our third frog at our collection.
It heals everyone.
This one on the lead, we're going to get that advancement when the squad hops into town. There we go. So now I've got enough means that we should be able to play up all of these frogs to event points or simply drag balls behind us in order to take advantage of the spawn area. But speaking of spawn, we probably want to make sure that we have a little bit of frog spawn waiting for us up here in the event that anything happens to these frogs and we want to create some more in the future. So I'm just going to very quickly take a look at these off the lead and put some slime balls to make sure that the frog spawn for us. And wherever the tadpoles end up, we can simply move them to one of the other areas where the frogs will grow up in the biome and be a different farm. With that taken care of, we've got all 6 of our remaining frogs on the lead. We're going to drag them down the mountain just like we did the last one, throw on home, and leash them to the fence post with the other 3 frogs. And they kind of look like a bunch of balloons being dragged through the waters somehow as we head back to our starting area. But you might be wondering at this point, why go to all this trouble to breed all 3 different colours of frogs? They're very cute, they're very colourful, but at first glance it seems like they don't have a great deal of utility to them. And for the secret behind these frogs, we have to go back to that Advancements tab, because if you haven't figured it out yet, the Advancements tab is actually a really useful way of checking out your progress throughout the game, and even hinting at a few things that you can do. The progression of the game is here in the Minecraft tab, and you can see there are a few things that we need to do in an upcoming episode. The Husbandry tab here is the one that's contained all the stuff about frogs, and you'll notice that there is a third advancement next to the ones that catching a tadpole in the bucket and having each frog variant on a lead, and it says, with our powers combined, have all frog lights in your inventory. And that is your first indication that there might be more to these frogs than meets the eye. So in order to get hold of those frog lights, we're actually going to have to go through to the Nether and prepare a little bit of stuff.
I don't have enough space.
Nether spawn area. To begin with, I'm going to remove any magma blocks that appear directly out of the front of my Nether portal. At this point, I'm used to crouching to avoid them. It seems like the frogs aren't going to be quite that safety conscious. So when we bring them through this Nether portal, which we are going to do in a second, we'll need to make sure that they have some solid ground underneath their feet, and it's not going to burn their little
Why do I have a small flower?
Likewise, we're going to remove any lava in the immediate area because we know that frogs are potentially going to be jumping into that, and we're going to kill
I can get rid of the sea grapes.
just so we have a little space to work to begin with. But I might actually leave a couple of these magma cubes just in the spawn stage while they're bobbing up and down in the lava. We can fill in a couple more blocks.
There it is. I got it just on my second try. What the hell? Oh, Abyssal Twig. See, this is where you came from. No, dang it, I literally just need 2 more.
going to try our best to corral 2 of each colour.
Beating them up would actually be more trouble than it's worth.
With us over to the Nether Portal. There we go, we've got an orange one, a white one, and a green one. And if we didn't have the advancement for getting all 3 of them on leads already, we'd be getting it right now. With all 3 of these frogs here, I'm going to hold on top of the Nether Portal
Dang
and wait for each of the frogs to go on through. There we go. Now I'm going to step back through to the Nether Portal, collecting the leads that these frogs dropped as I go, and you'll see that they are already making short work of those magma cubes. So we're going to tie them up to the fence post here and take a look at what they have just dropped, because these are the frog lights that the advancement there was mentioning. We have 3 ochre frog lights and 2 verdant frog lights. And this is the hidden property of frogs. Not only do they kill the little baby slimes in swamps and cause them to drop slime balls, they will actually eat small magma cubes, digest
That was a lot of
and
XP.
spit out these frog lights, which are a light source in a similar way to glowstone, redstone lamps, lantern, anything like that. They give off a light level of 15 at the source. So now, in addition to making my nether spawn area safer by flattening out the terrain and moving all of those magma blocks, we can actually lure some magma cubes in here and have them eaten by the frogs. And we end up getting blocks for that. We've effectively turned our nether spawn area into a kind of lo-fi farm. Once this large magma cube gets close enough, all I have to do is attack it a couple of times to have it split into medium-sized cubes. Once they've broken down into little magma cubes, all we have to do is stand over here so that the magma cubes can come in range on the frogs. And after a few seconds, the frogs will happily eat them all up, dropping frog lights as they do. And each of the different colours of frog will drop a different kind of frog lights. You'll notice that the green one always drops verdant frog lights, the orange one always drops ochre frog lights, and the white one hasn't eaten any magma cubes yet. But when it eventually does, it will drop a pearlescent frog light, and there we go. We get the advancement with our powers combined, having all 3 frog lights in our inventory. The pearlescent frog lights are this lovely purple bordered block, and once again they give off a pretty decent amount of light. So one of the considerations when making a nether hub
sleep on the evening
one
so I
of the
can
things I'm planning on doing
go study,
end up converting this into a
potentially,
safer place for us to travel around, is to create an area
quest
of South Delta biome
in floor 7,
magma cubes can
B7.
spawn, which might make the nether hub a dangerous environment if we are still in the same area as them, but maybe we put it underneath a glass floor and leave a bunch of frogs down there to passively collect frog lights from these magma cubes every time we wander through the nether. That's a design we'll look into in a future
I'm gonna go buy
episode,
some.
because, of course, the frogs will only attack the smallest type of magma cube, and the largest ones won't have anything to break them down unless we intervene somehow. So we're going to tackle that in a future episode. For now, I'm just delighted to have our frog breeding program underway, and these frogs are going to do fantastically well here. They're dropping off the occasional lighting block for us to mix around. But folks, that is where we're going to wrap up this episode of the Minecraft Survival Guide. I hope you've enjoyed this preliminary look at frogs. It's a shame we didn't find a witch hut in our swamp, but hopefully we'll end up spotting one in the not too distant future. Thank you so much for watching. My name has been Pixelrips. Don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you folks soon. Take care. Bye for now.
Oh shit. Oh, too late, I swallowed it. Part of my teeth just cracked. I say teeth, but it the pasta that was applied. It has been quite a while. They degrade eventually. But damn, I just ate it. I thought it was my Nagaraya. It's been happening for quite a while now. Or what did she call herself again? Olympia. It's just a small chunk. I'll poop it out. It's nothing too dangerous. As long as it doesn't happen that frequently, which... I just realized, but have I talked to the... people at the bar yet for any secret info? That's almighty damage. Oh, Merciful Heal is actually super good, what the heck. I guess I'm getting healed to level 7 after I get Aura Blast.
Hey, Vsauce, Michael here. Why? Why are emails used in purpose? What's it all mean? Well, sometimes when you listen closely, you ask, why? You can hear an answer. And it's another question. Why? Why what? Our journey begins here.
Check the rule book. You won't find anything in there that says a dog can't play.
It's right! There's no rules in the dog can't play basketball! Is that true? Is there really no rule against a dog playing middle school basketball? Vsauce Magic 8 Ball. Is there really no rule against a dog playing basketball? The answer is yes. Or is it? We have begun. The act
actor who played Airbud, Buddy the dog, passed away in 1998 at the age of 9. Now take a look at this. Let's talk about World War I. On June 28, 1914, Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the throne of Austria-Hungary, and his wife Sophie were assassinated in Sarajevo while riding in a car. The car's license plate was AIII-118. They were killed by Gavrilo Princip, who said during his trial that he wanted the unification of all Yugoslavs, free from Austria. The event sparked a series of escalations in Europe, the July Crisis, which ultimately caused World War I, a war that ended on Armistice Day, November 11, 1918. Pretty odd, not a spooky coincidence. No. But look, odd things happen all the time. Oddness is all around us, especially in the form of odd numbers. The grip they have on our reality is revealed when we release our grip. Notice anything strange? Under the influence of gravity, things move in an odd way. If something starts moving because of gravity, after, say, 1 second, it will have traveled some distance. Now, interesting, during the next second, the distance it will travel will be 3 times as far as it moved during the first second. During the third second, it will travel 5 times as far, then 7 times, then 9 times, 11, 13, 15. Now, we use seconds, but it doesn't matter what time interval you use. You will always find this pattern, the odd number hiding right there in the very phenomenon that keeps us on Earth, where the odd numbers, more like God numbers, right? Is the odd number rule the face of the universe looking back at us? Well, here is something that Galileo wrote. Philosophy is written in this grand book, I mean the universe, which stands continuously open to our gaze. But it cannot be understood unless one first learns to comprehend the language in which it is written. It is written in the language of mathematics, and its characters are triangles, circles, and other geometric figures, without which it is humanly impossible to understand a single word. Without these, one is wandering about in a dark labyrinth. Before this pattern in the grand book of the universe was read and appreciated, people wondered why things fell. Maybe stuff just has a desire to be in its own proper place, right? Rocks with the earth, fire with the air. That makes sense, right? It was fun to imagine causes and write our own stories. But underneath our desire for explanations, a story was already being told. One that is written in the language of mathematics, measure, and relation. Now, many of these stories are being told all around us all the time, one on top of each other. But if you can look past those disturbances, each isolated event is narrating a quiet, simple story. Not of why the universe is, but of what the universe is. Galileo recognized what this pattern spelled. Mathematically, it spells, hello, I am speeding up at a constant rate. And that was huge. All this time, for millennia, we had been wondering about the causes of gravity, its cosmic purpose, why it existed. But now, here was someone saying, yeah, cool, but like, what does it do? It makes things fall. Great. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean to fall? Fall how? Now, the human mind alone couldn't answer that. But the universe was telling us. We just had to speak its language and read it. This is, I am gaining velocity at a constant rate, spelled with odd numbers. How? Well, what's an odd number? The concept of oddness comes from the observation that sometimes when you have a bunch of things, everything you have can be paired up. But sometimes that can't happen. Now, when it's possible, when you compare everything up that you have, it is said that the number of things you have is even. If you can't do that, then the number of things you have is odd. Now what this means is that the number of objects in an even group is equal to 2 times n, where n is just the number of whole pairs that you have. So n is an equal number. N could be, for example, 50, giving us the even number of 100, which is also the number of legs centipedes have. What is it? Centa 100. P. Having 100 legs is right there in the name. But it's only approximate. Centipedes have been observed to have anywhere from 30 to 345 legs. Now 100 falls pretty nicely in that range. But every pair of legs on a centipede is attached to a body segment, which means that in order to have 100 legs, a centipede would need to have 50 body segments. But not a single species of centipede has an even number of body segments. 50 segments is nowhere to be found in the library of centipede genomes. So, while centipedes, on average, have a number of legs quite close to 100, they never naturally have exactly 100. Point is, 2n is the mathematical way to spell even. If I add just one more thing, the amount I have is no longer even, it's odd. If I add yet another thing, I've added another pair, n has gone up by 1, and the number is even again. This means that an even number plus just one more will always be odd. Now that we know how to mathematically spell odd and even, we can move on to moving. If you and me hugged, that would be wonderful. We would both get so much out of it. But if during the hug you suddenly ran away from me while yelling, "I'm leaving you at a velocity of 2 meters per second," I would be devastated. But I would know that deep down you still cared for me, because you told me your velocity. And if I know your velocity, I can know just how far away you are from me at all times. All I have to do is take your velocity and multiply it by the number of seconds that have elapsed since you left. Now take a look at what a graph of your velocity would look like. Here we have velocity in meters away from me per second, and we have time in seconds since the hug ended. Now, if your velocity is 2 meters per second, and that persists, then here's a graph of your velocity. But look at this. After a number of seconds have elapsed, like after 1 second, the distance you are away is just the rate times the time elapsed, 2 times 1. Well, that also happens to be the area of the rectangle bounded by a line coming up from the time, our velocity graph, and our axes. That's pretty convenient. After 2 seconds, you are 2 times 2, 4 meters away from me, which is also the area of this shape we created. After 3 seconds, you are 3 times 2.
I can probably stop here.
6 meters away. It's always
I've come this far. We're paralyzed and awed what we're watching.
Change up the story. What if we hug? I mean, just almost not even a hug, like something new was being invented here. Then, during that sudden run away
Let's
from
go,
me.
suckers.
While you run, you yell, "I am leaving you at an ever-changing velocity." I would say, you know what, that is a lot less helpful. Now let's say that this changing velocity you have, that I don't know, happens to be an acceleration of 2 meters per second per second. What does that mean? Well, that means that your velocity is getting bigger by 2 meters per second for every second that you run. It would look like this on a graph. You begin hugging me, no velocity. And then 1 second later, your velocity is 2 meters per second larger. So 2 larger than 0 is 2. That's your velocity after 1 second. After 2 seconds, your velocity is 2 larger still. So 4, then 6. Your velocity graph will look something like this. Now here's a question. If you're moving like this, is the distance you are away from at any given time still just the area of the shape bounded? It's harder to see that because you don't maintain a single velocity for any amount of time. Your velocity is always changing, so you don't have nice rectangles. I don't even know your motion. I don't even know how you're accelerating. It's very scary. But I've decided to take matters into my own hands and measure your velocity as often as I like. Let's say that I measure it just once. I measure it after, let's say, 2 seconds. All right, wonderful. Now the question I want to answer is how far away you are after 3 seconds. All right, so I have this measurement. I know that you were traveling at 4 meters per second. Well, I mean, look, if you're going 4 meters per second for 1 second, then that's a rectangle like this. It's got an area of 4, but you're not 4 meters away, are you? You're a lot further than that, because you weren't traveling 4 meters per second for this entire second. You were at all times actually traveling a bit faster. And I'm totally forgetting all the distance you covered before my measurement, which is not 0. Okay, so clearly I need to measure your velocity more frequently. So let's say that I measure your velocity twice during the 3 seconds I'm curious about. Let's say I measure it after 1 second and then after 2 seconds. Well, now I can imagine rectangles here. This one is 2 by 1, so it has an area of 2. This one is 4 by 1, so it has an area of 4. 2 plus 4 is 6. But you're a lot more than 6 meters away as well, because you weren't traveling 2 meters per second this entire time. You were actually speeding up, covering more and more distance. I'm totally forgetting all the distance you covered over here. Basically, this method will always leave me short. But the more frequently I check your velocity, the better things get. Take a look at this. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow! As you can see, the more frequently I check your velocity, the closer my calculation gets to being based off of what you really did, your actual motion. But also, the more frequently I check your velocity, the closer the combined area of all of my rectangles gets to simply being equal to the actual area.
I've actually never encountered a king starfish before.
The area under your velocity curve, even when your curve is like this, is still totally the distance you are away from me. Now let's take this knowledge and apply it to the odd number rule. Before people knew how things fell, there were some pretty good guesses. For example, if the reason things fall is that they have within them a desire to be in their own proper place. In this example, the table. Well, then maybe the closer this object gets to the table, the more excited it is to be there, and the faster it goes. In which case, its velocity would change over time like this, getting steeper and steeper and steeper. But Galileo didn't think that. He believed that when objects fell, their velocities increased at a constant rate. So, graphed like this, their velocity would just follow a straight line. Let's draw a straight line. Beautiful. Now, let's divide this graph up into strips of equal time. Perfect. Alright, now, as we know, the areas of the shapes we have bounded here are the distances traveled during their respective time intervals. So, what's the area of our first shape here, a little triangle? Well, we don't know what it is. We don't have any actual markings here on our axes, but that's fine. It doesn't really matter. We'll just call this 1. So in the first, second, first time interval, our object traveled a distance of 1 unit of space. Perfect. Now, how far did our object travel during the second time interval? Well, that distance will be
Hell yeah, that was awesome.
that area. What is this area? One thing we can do to make this easier is to divide the shape like this. Now we have 2 shapes, a triangle and a rectangle. This triangle has the exact same area as our initial triangle. That's because they are congruent triangles. They both have the same base length, and because this velocity line has a constant slope, it rises the same amount per time elapsed all the time. So their heights are the same, and they're both right triangles. Their areas are the same. So the area of this space is the area of that triangle plus
Why are there so
the
many
area
ways
of
to
this
go
rectangle.
down?
What is the area of this rectangle? Well, one thing we can do is
I
divide
my inventory's almost
the
gone.
rectangle in half with a diagonal like this. And look what we've created. This triangle has the exact same area as our initial triangle. It has the same height, it has the same base, they're both right angles. And look, the same goes for this one. It's a right triangle. Its base is the same as this base, its height is the same as this one's height. Gosh, this is just the area of the
Espada.
initial triangle, but twice. So we have two of them, and we have two of them one time. Okay, perfect. Now let's move on to finding the area of that shape. Once again, I can divide this shape like that. And now I have a triangle, which as we know, has the same area as our initial triangle right here. So we have that area, 1. And then we also have, look at that, 2 rectangles, which as we know, we can divide in half like this, giving us now 4 triangles equal in area to the initial one. So what we've done is we've taken the initial area and we have doubled it, well, once and twice, so 2 times. Now, as we continue doing this, we find that we're always adding 1 more of our original areas, and then we're always doubling that original area 1 more time. Here we've doubled it 1, 2, 3 times, doubled 3 times. Well, look at this pattern. Right here, we can think of 1 as being equal to 2 times 0 plus 1, can't we? Well, these numbers are whole numbers, and they're just going up by 1. 0, 1, 2, 3. This is all of the general form 2n plus 1. That is how you mathematically spell odd. So the odd number rule is not some kind of magical coincidence. It's just what happens when an object's velocity increases at a constant rate. The answer was right there in front of us all along, written in the mathematical language of the universe. The universe also contains Colorado, one of its best rectangles. Or is it? Let's find out after a quick word from our sponsor, us. Hi, I'm Michael Stevens. Are you a person who can get out of here? Go poop or something. I only want to talk to your brain.
What?
Okay, so brains, here's my message to you. Treat yourself. Touch more than just my voice. Become a supporter of the Vsauce Curiosity Box, the subscription for thinkers. It comes to your door every 3 months full of stuff that we have made and things that we love. I'm talking books, shirts, viral physics toys, puzzles, projects, you name it. Its mission is to be good for brains. So we give a portion of all proceeds from it directly to Alzheimer's research, and it makes our new Inquisitive Fellowship possible. A program that literally just gives money and equipment and assistance to educational YouTubers so they can worry less about monetization and the algorithm and more about just making the kind of content they want to make and that this world needs. This year's inaugural fellows are fantastic. 12.
It's honestly pretty
Jordan
useless.
Herron, Up and Adam, and Jabril. You should definitely subscribe to them. Continue feeding yourself right. Join the Curiosity Box today. Welcome back. Now, Colorado looks like a rectangle, a shape with 4 sides that all meet at the same angle, but Colorado doesn't have 4 sides. It has 697, making it not a rectangle, but instead a hexaheptaenneacontiheptagon. And this was all by mistake. The United States Congress initially defined Colorado as a geospherical rectangle, the space bounded by 2 lines of latitude and 2 lines of longitude. In the 19th century, surveyors set out to demarcate its shape, to actually mark it on the ground, and they did a phenomenal job with the tools that they had. But mistakes were made. Some were large enough that you could spot them on many common maps of the state. In 1925, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the borders as surveyed were the correct ones and would legally stand as the official recognized edges of the state, not the originally intended, theoretically pure geospherical rectangle.
Oh, I haven't
Thus,
talked to people again,
in the
dang it.
shaping of Colorado that began with lines drawn by the Compromise of 1850. 1850. We have arrived. Article 18, Section 5, Paragraph 0 of the Washington Interscholastic Activities Association 1996-97 Constitution, the set of rules
Air Bud would have been subject to at the time and place of the movie states that in order to participate in an interscholastic athletic activity like basketball, a student must be a, quote, regular member of the school, defined as someone enrolled half-time or more. The section does refer to RCW 28A225.010, a list of approved exceptions, but not one of these was considered in the case of Air Bud. Had they been, it would have been discovered quite quickly that Air Bud the dog qualified under absolutely none of them. There is no rule that specifically states a dog cannot play basketball, but there are and were rules that said that this dog, Air Bud, should not have been allowed to play basketball. And as always, thanks for watching.
It has a nice rhythm going for it. Oh, oops. And Spar seems great. Sure, let's get this. Oh wow, 3 points. Also the pole stones. Hello there. not listed. Damn. Cool. What did I do?
itself. Sometimes a huge upheaval in MO can help a medium survive, and in RE4's case, help the franchise to thrive once again. The changes are evident even from the very beginning of the story. We're no longer concerned with the Raccoon City outbreak or any of the events surrounding it or the main characters, really. Instead, this game follows Resident Evil 2 alum Leon S. Kennedy on his mission to save the US president's daughter from a mysterious European cult. Ah, look who's moving up in the world. Not a rookie anymore, huh? Now you're a big shot Secret Service agent, huh? The president must have a lot of faith in you to send you in completely alone instead of an entire armed squadron to retrieve his own offspring. Soon after arriving in a seemingly quaint Spanish village, Leon's drivers are killed and he's attacked by the entire town. What a goddamn beginning for a game. And no, it's not because he forgot the tip at the local cafe. It turns out that everyone in the surrounding area has been infected with parasites known as Las Plagas. Now, the townsfolk are more than a little homicidal and completely loyal to an evil cult that's bent on world domination known as Los Illuminados. So, Leon's gotta find Ashley, stop the cult, and get back to American soil, where the monsters are much easier to spot, what with their rotting flesh and all. America. Now, right off the bat, the premise makes things feel a bit different than what we're used to. Instead of controlling a character who's desperately trying to escape the danger, we're playing as a guy who's diving headfirst into it. Leon is way different than the way he was portrayed during the events of RE2. He used to be a relatively normal, understandably freaked out guy. Now, this dude literally makes jokes after almost getting his pushed in by a chainsaw-wielding madman. Where's everyone going? Bingo. You shut the f*** up, Leon. You almost died. Those two drivers did die. Did you even know their names? Leon has ceased being relatable and has become a hyper-macho superhero with abilities straight out of the Matrix. What the hell kind of training do they put Secret Service agents through? This isn't inherently a bad change, but it does change the vibe of the beat. If the playable character is utterly unfazed by the events around him, then the player probably won't feel that much either. But it kind of works when you're building an experience that aims to make the player feel like a badass action hero instead of a regular dude. The rest of the characters reinforce the same tone too. Ashley Graham, the first daughter, fits the role of the one-dimensional damsel perfectly. Ada Wong has leaned all the way into her status
that was fun.
with questionable
Holy
loyalty.
shit, that was a lot of damage.
Supreme leader of Los Illuminados, drips with four stereotypical European bad guys sneeze than Hans Gruber himself. Let's not forget everyone's favorite character, Chopper Mike. Our main man Mike only shows up during the very last sequence of the game, and apparently him and Leon are the best of buds. And what do best buds do more than anything else? Why, cut down waves of human beings with a hailstorm of hot metal, that's what! Yeah! Resident Evil! Now, it's very clear that the game doesn't take itself very seriously, so the few moments when it does slow down and attempt to make the player feel a bit scared comes as a breath of fresh air. It only happens a handful of times throughout the campaign, but when it does, one can't help but miss the aesthetic of classic Resident Evil, and also appreciate the new vibe in RE4 all the more. The game's music goes a long way in letting the player know when it's time to run, time to gun, or time to get freaky. That being said, most of the soundtrack is fine for the most part. It serves its purpose by mostly staying out of the way while keeping the player appropriately pumped, but none of it is memorable outside of the save room theme. I don't know why, but I'm pretty sure that there is an unwritten rule that save room themes must be the best song in any Resident Evil soundtrack. The sound design comes alive with sound effects though. The individual sounds of each type of gunshot, to the crispy-ass reloading foley, to the bleeps and floops while perusing the inventory system. It all sounds clear and great. Even the dialogue, while still slathered in a thick layer of cheese, is a step up from previous RE installments. Resident his daughter. Jesus! Well, at least it was a good read. One of the most obvious changes that Resident Evil 4 brings to the table is the shift from a forced perspective in pre-rendered backgrounds to an over-the-shoulder environments rendered in real time. And this shift allows for angles and perspectives never before possible in an RE title. Not only that, underground labyrinth, secret lab is thrown out the window in favor of rural village, creepy castle, and military training facility. And while the first two are plenty engrossing, a generic island full of commandos is a bit of a bore in comparison. Rotting farms and windswept hallways are hard acts to follow when you're just coming with some dude taking around some tents. But make no mistake, the first 2/3 of the game offer some of the coolest locations ever presented in a Resident Evil game. In every conceivable way, this game is a different beast from its predecessors. It's just weird. But it's still a wonderful experience all the way through. Getting invested in a silly-ass Resident Evil story is still as bad an idea as it's ever been. The gorgeous environments and wonderful sound design settle the necessary sensations well enough on their own. There may not be that many scares anymore, but RE4 does make you feel exhilarated and immersed in a world where one white dude can take down a whole army of Spaniards by himself. That guy's name was Luis, by the way, and the last thing he ever heard was his name badly mispronounced. How American can you get? The gameplay in Resident Evil 4 almost feels like the result of a ripple effect, wherein one or two small things were changed, which ended up necessitating change for the entire system. But somehow, instead of becoming a train wreck, every new idea comes together in a beautifully dark and violent symphony that never stops feeling satisfying from the moment the game moves up. It's decidedly not your older brother's Resident Evil. It may just be better. At its core, RE4 is still about killing monsters, solving puzzles, and making hard decisions in order to keep your sorry ass alive. Now, between these features have been aggressively shaken up, along with the addition of a few brand new mechanics. Firstly, the change to a third-person, over-the-shoulder perspective drastically changes the way you view the world around you and the way in which you engage your enemies. You can always see directly in front of you, regardless of your location, and the camera is essentially yours to control at all times. And it's a good idea to move that camera around at regular intervals, since you never know what's hiding in those hard-to-spot places. And with that change in point of view comes a change in overall level design as well. Say goodbye to the massive structures that took almost all of the game to unlock and fully explore. Forget about backtracking to previously visited areas with new keys in order to access new routes. RE4, for the most part, is as linear as they come. Now, once again, I don't want to come off like I'm hating on this choice. Far from it, actually. Sure, it's sad to see that particular design aspect of Resident Evil be retired, but I can safely say that RE4 on most other games when it comes to pacing. No, you don't really have to ever think much about where you're going or how you're going to get there, but this game never comes close to feeling slow or boring. Every single encounter feels stimulating and refreshing because of how many different types of encounters the game has to offer, and how skillfully similar encounters are spaced out from one another. If you've just been hit with a massive wave of enemies, you're bound to go through a boss fight, a bit of exploration, and an on-rail sequence before you run into another mob again. Resident Evil 4 knows just how to keep the torture fresh for its players.
That guy
Something else I
really
do
makes you
miss, though,
manly.
is the importance of puzzles. They're still around, but they're no longer the brilliant set pieces that they were once before. In RE4, all the puzzles are incredibly simple and have no ramifications outside of their immediate area. Instead of having creepy galleries with mysterious switches and crows staring ominously down at you, now we've got a pearl pendant that can get a little dirty if you don't shoot a stick first. Hooray! The pervasive quick-time events in RE4 don't help me feel any smarter either. Sometimes the game just insists that you participate during its cutscenes, or mash a few buttons to keep Leon from being beached out by a trap. I appreciate the game trying to keep you motivated as much as possible, but the quick-time events feel more than a little dated. Resident Evil 4's MO of make everything simpler is also felt in the same system. You still have to save your game at typewriters, but the increments are nowhere to be seen, meaning that you can save as many times as you want, thus removing yet another source of tension and resource management classic games used to implement. On top of that, the game will offer players a free chance to save after every chapter. Oh, and whenever you die, you don't even have to go back to the last time you saved. You get to start from the last checkpoint you reached. Not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, it's just a lateral move to facilitate the more fast gameplay that has the added effect of allowing you to laugh in the face of impending death. But it's not like you'd ever die anyway. What with the absolutely massive arsenal at Leon's disposal. In addition to series mainstays like pistols and shotguns, you get your hands on a fully functioning machine gun and a badass sniper rifle. This thing shifts you into first person game with you, providing a brand new way to pop heads like carnival balloons. The weaponry is put to excellent use in Resident Evil 4, thanks to the complete overhaul of the aiming and shooting system. Aiming used to be kind of an oversight in previous RE titles, allowing players to kind of automatically lock onto the target when they aim. Now, you've actually got to work for that headshot, or that flesh wound against the arm, or that kneecapping, you sadistic bastard! Every single firearm includes a laser sight. Yes, even busted-ass old-school shotguns. You can now pinpoint exactly where you want your rounds to go. And depending on where you shoot the bad guys, you can react in a variety of different ways. Sometimes they're real back in pain, setting them up for what can only be described as fighting game moves. Leon can perform a roundhouse kick, a standing side kick, and that is full-on Guile's front throw. Not only do these moves look great, they deal massive damage and have the potential to stun multiple enemies nearby. Now here's a surprise. The combat knife is actually useful this time around. Yeah, there have always been those guys out there who can dominate tyrants with just a knife, but in this game, it's one of Leon's most valuable assets. After stunning an enemy with a shot, it's often a great idea to run up and start slashing to both conserve ammo and also teach a motherfucker not to mess with you. Most of the enemies you come across will be the Ganados, who are pretty normal for the most part if you consider it. Damn. Okay, these dudes aren't normal at all. They're way smarter than the average zombie, and every now and then they'll transform into these extremely deadly and parasite thingies. Even beyond that, the game offers all kinds of cool and new enemies, including these tortured Wolverine-looking dudes and the Regenerators. The Regenerators by far are the creepiest enemies in the game, and they will not go down to conventional gunfire. Just listen to the messed up sound these guys make. No, I'm good. I'm fine. I didn't need to sleep this month anyways. That's okay. If you get lucky enough, the enemies you will kill will also drop an item for your trouble, which is yet another new feature in RE4. In addition to ammo, they can spawn some new items in the series, including yellow herbs, which increases Leon's maximum health, hand grenades, and even cold hard cash. You can loot the local money known as pesetas, or valuable items such as spinels, velvet blues, and other valuables that sound like they have stripper names, and then sell them for a profit. Sell them for, you're asking? Why, to the best goddamn character in the entire game. Let's see. Enter the Merchant. This mysterious asshole.
That's something that my ace
Look, I'm not so sure. This pops up all over the game.
over here. Straight,
Sell
yeah.
you useful gear and buy the stuff you don't want anymore. It's through this guy that yet another new venture the Resident Evil series presents itself. A progression system. Leon can purchase bigger and bigger inventory cases, as well as upgrades to his weapons from the Merchant. Being able to increase a gun's bullet capacity or damage output is something that's never really happened before in a Resident Evil game. That feels kind of cool. In the past, you may have been able to pick up an item that gave you more item slots or something that slightly cut the damage you take. But in this game, you're growing the entire time, making you feel genuinely more powerful. It may not be spooky, but it does feel pretty awesome to spend a bunch of cash on upgrades and then dominate the next room full of unsuspecting cultists.
I just realized
But the merchant
I never talked to
provides more
Kujira,
than
didn't
fine
I?
sundries. He also runs a
Back in
shooting
V7.
gallery in the game, which you can access at different points
I'll
in
talk
the
to him
game.
later, I guess.
Staying on target and getting those headshots will net you bonus points and multipliers, making for a pretty fun little diversion from the the main adventure. Of course, accidentally hitting the Ashley targets will subtract from your score. Do not shoot the Ashleys. The main draw of this
Weird.
mode for completionists are the little bottle caps that you get as rewards for getting high scores. They're called bottle caps, but they're more like little Smash Brothers trophies featuring the gruesome gallery of characters from RE4. Look at that, they even talk. Collect the whole set. Ashley pops up all throughout the campaign as well, effectively turning huge sections of Resident Evil 4 into one giant escort mission. If she takes too many hits, she'll go down permanently, and if a bad guy gets too far away with her, she'll get taken to the next dimension, which is where Nappa and the Ginyu Force are, and no one wants that. That being said, this is one of, if not the best escort system I've ever encountered. Instead of attempting to make Ash's AI intelligent, it just made it really dumb and reliable. Before everyone out there assumes all this bullshit about me, let me just say this. Escort missions are hard to get right in a game. RE4 has designed it to be exact what it needs to be when you're in these tight situations. Ashley will do her best to stay out of your line of fire, and if she does manage to get in the way of your laser sight, she'll actually duck out of the way. Thanks, Ash! There are even some spots in the game where you can command Ash to hide, excising the escort out of the particularly difficult sequences. Out of all of the innovation that RE4 provides, making escorting actually fun might be the most impressive one. And even though she can still get on your nerves with her calling out for you every time you get too far from her, or every time she happens to wander like a dumb gazelle in the line of fire, do not, and I repeat, do not shoot the Ashley.
Oh shit.
It's an automatic game over if you do. It took me a long time to get those urges out of my system. Hey, there was a donut on my desk and someone took it. Who did it? You are eating my donut. That is my donut that I paid for. It is my only cheat day snack. You ate it. Yeah. Yes. Really? Don't shoot the Ashley. When all was said and done, I was still hungry for more. Hell, there are only about a dozen trophies, and I only had to go out of my way for one of them. I'm a little surprised they didn't take this opportunity with the re-release to add in some more busy work challenges. But thankfully, the way this game is now seems almost perfect. Resident Evil 4 is the biggest, baddest, most unapologetic Resident Evil of its time. It somehow manages to break every rule its predecessors established, while also presenting so many new, solid ideas that it's managed to create an entire zeitgeist all its own. That's something that can only happen when the quality of what's offered is just that good. And once all is said and done, what Resident Evil 4 does best is create an urge to just keep playing it over and over again. Just, don't give it to those Ashley shooting urges. Not a good idea. Don't shoot the Ashley. First and foremost, I am extremely relieved to report that there is no grading system in Resident Evil 4. No matter how quickly you beat the game, and regardless of how many times you've saved throughout, you will not be graded on your performance. God bless those pass-fail classes. That being said, RE4 still has plenty of extra modes to play through and rewards to unlock, starting with what you get for beating the game for the first time. First up, the title screen changes to this nifty little scrolling image of the opening village. Memories of a mob trying to eviscerate you. Beating the game unlocks a mode called Round, which is basically just New Game Plus. You get to play all the way through the game again, except you've got all of your equipment from the get-go. And the merchant will start the game with his full list of merchandise. Speaking of the merchant, in New Round mode, you'll have 2 new weapons available for purchase. The first one is a burst fire handgun called Lumatel. Matilda. And unlike little telekinetic schoolgirls, it is not safe for the whole family. It boasts the highest rate of fire among all the handguns in the game.
Jeez.
And it's a neat shout out to Leon's original upgraded
The
handgun.
bar lady is surprisingly very vulgar.
From 70,000 pesetas. The merchant will also have the rocket launcher with infinite ammo for sale. It costs a pretty penny at 1 million pesetas, but man, is it worth it. Being able to stomp through the game with an unstoppable death machine strapped to your shoulder is a Resident Evil tradition, and I'm glad to see that it survived the transition into Resident Evil 4. And now that you've strapped up with some badass weaponry, you know you've got to have a dope new wardrobe to go along with it, which is why you're also rewarded with special outfits for both Leon and Ashley once you beat the main campaign. Leon gets his classic Raccoon Police Department outfit, which also grants him a 30% damage reduction, and Ashley gets this thing. Yeah, you ready for some extra modes? Well, here we go. Beating the game also nabs you not one, but two mini-campaigns starring Ada Wong. The first one is called Assignment Ada, and it's a brief adventure in which Ada must collect 5 samples of Las Plagas around the military training island. Ada's not just a simple reskin of Leon either. She has several techniques all on her own, including a grappling hook that lets her scale certain buildings. There are no save points and she can't upgrade anything at the merchant, but thankfully this mode is short enough to finish it in one shot. Clearing Assignment Ada will net you a special automatic rifle known as the Chicago Typewriter, but not in Assignment Ada. You can find the gun in the other Ada Wong mode known as Separate Ways. This campaign is far longer and actually runs parallel to Leon's quest in the main game. It's pretty cool to see how Ada interacted with the events in the main story from another angle, kind of like Marty in Back to the Future 2. Unfortunately, the original cutscenes for this mode didn't receive the same HD upgrade that the rest of the game did, so they look pretty rough, like Back to the Future 3. Hey, it's a good movie, just not a great one. Not only will beating Separate Ways unlock the Chicago Typewriter for use in the main campaign, it'll also unlock yet another special set of costumes for Leon and Ashley. Leon gets a dope suit that makes him look like a smooth criminal, and Ashley actually dons a full suit of armor. It makes her virtually invulnerable to every single form of damage in the game. Makes her too heavy for enemies to lift her, proving once again, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that chubby kids are harder to kidnap. Did you think we were done with the main campaign? Not by a long shot. Beating the game also unlocks Professional Mode, which basically acts as Resident Evil 4's hard mode, with enemies being able to take more damage, deal more damage, and with much more infrequent item spawns. But your reward for beating Professional Mode is access to the PRL 412, an insane energy weapon that instantly vaporizes any enemy with a Plagas parasite within it, including the bosses. So if you think beasting your way through the game with an infinite rocket launcher is a bit too old-fashioned, then this is the overkill machine for you. And of course, there's Mercenaries mode. This time around, it's an absolute monster. There are 4 different stages to play on, each with their own enemy types and layouts, and you can choose from 5 different main characters: Leon, Ada, Meathead Merc Jack Krauser, Mercenaries mainstay Hump, and good old Albert Wesker. Just like Ada, each character comes with their own set of special moves to separate them from Leon, and every single Mercenaries character has their own quota of weapons and items, drastically changing the way they're played. While Leon has a nice even spread of range and power, Hump has to rely on his trusty machine gun, and Krauser just has his bow and arrow to contend with. Oh, and his freaky monster arm of death. You can earn up to 5 stars per character per stage, which means if you want to collect every star, you're going to have to play with each character on each stage. And while some stages seem to work for one particular character's loadout, that same person
Why does everyone just... What the heck's wrong with this guy? Why does he look so love this stupid knife?
On this wannabe Waterworld stage, thanks to his not having any weapons on hand that can reliably stun these crazy chainsaw-wielding psychos. Even though getting every single star with every single character was a pain, the gunplay in RE4 is so well executed that it was always fun to play. This
What the
is,
hell is
without
this
a
in
doubt,
Conquest?
the best Mercenaries mode in any RE I've ever played. And the reward you get for getting every star isn't too shabby either. You unlock the Hand Cannon, a magnum capable of taking down an enemy in just a couple of shots. Even the recoil on this gun commands respect. This gun makes me want to go out and join the Secret Service too. While there's no specific prize for completing everything in the game, there are more than enough rewards to recall throughout the experience to warrant doing just about everything. which is the way things should be. Being encouraged to keep playing such an awesome game while you're still playing it seems like a lost art these days. So I'm glad to see that RE4 has got that nailed down. From the way it gradually rewards you, to the manner in which it allows you to upgrade your arsenal, to the meticulous way in which it paces you throughout its action, Resident Evil 4 is carefully crafted to keep you invested and excited. Even after I've done all of it, I am more than willing to dive right back in and start it all up again. While I completed Resident Evil 4, there were 68 deaths, 4 campaign playthroughs, with 2 being Ada's mini-campaigns, 24 bottle caps earned, over 3 million pesetas spent, 12 trophies unlocked,
Okay.
55 hours of total playtime,
So,
and 1 sitcom
I think it's quite
featuring
obviously
Leon
the
and
blonde
Sean.
guy, but I could still be wrong. We took the request from the bar lady. I really don't think it's her. I definitely doubt it's this guy, because we're talking to him right now. The guard has no reason to lie to us. It really just seems to be the drinking buddy. That makes the most sense. He probably pawned it off or something by now. And it's so strange that he knows it as well. Hey you. Well, that was simple enough. So is it actually possible to fail this quest? Wow, that's a lot of XP for something so easy. Yeah, I think it was very possible to have failed miserably at that quest. It was quite obvious to me though. I guess I'm just that smart. For the most part, all the teams are viable. I was thinking a little while ago if I should change teams, but I'm liking Alma so far. I'm liking this team's playstyle. Yeah, that is genuinely the best thing about the balance mod. It's the fact that everyone is viable now. And you can, for the most part, go with any team you want. Although, like I said, the monk is kind of important. Although, I don't know. Since I've just been doing really well with the grinding and stuff, my party tends to be usually rather overtuned. In which case, damage dealt is minimal and therefore the need for a healer is also kind of minimal. Based on what I've heard, it seems the one at the farthest end might be our best bet at finding Olympia.
Tuesday nights at 8:30 on the CW. Send your DVRs or wait for Netflix. It's very easy to see why so many people praise Resident Evil 4 as the best game of all time, let alone the best entry in the franchise. It may not have the creepy atmospheres of the originals or the calculated and patient gameplay associated with them, but it offers gameplay solid enough to influence an entire genre and worthy enough of completion no matter what year it is. Resident Evil 4 is the kind of game to digest with friends. Playing with someone in the room in this small, tight narrative, corridors and castles and villages, with sound effects that are creepy and terrifying, with explosions and action scenes and car chases and Ganados, their heads exploding into crazy parasites, Lord Sadler being around. This game is so large, on such a smaller scale for gamers, that it made the game too viable, aside from Super Smash Bros. Melee. This game is so important that it almost defined its own genre and created a slew of games that not only were inspired by it, but continued to build on what RE4 left for us. Without a shadow of a doubt, if you've never played a Resident Evil and you said, hey, where do I begin without needing to know anything and everything, RE4 is the perfect place to start. And with the reiterations of remastering after remastering, they only make this game larger and more worthy for completionists. From the beginning to the end, the extra modes, mercenary, all the unlockables, this is one of those games that they got better and better about re-releasing the game.
Holy shit, Aura Blast is OP. I mean, yeah, it costs a lot of TP, but that really doesn't matter. I have Blood Return.
It's like a weird version of DLC without DLC, if you will. So, with that in mind, guys, I give this game my absolute completionist rating of completed. That's all time we have for today, guys. Thank you so much for 6 years of awesome support. If you've loved anything we've done in the past 6 years, thank you so much for supporting us. A big thank you to the team here in the office who's kept me alive, all the YouTubers who've been along the way, all of our support systems. It's been a crazy
What?
rush, and I'm so
Sure.
happy and honored to still be here doing this and to have the show getting bigger and better each and every year. A big thank you to all of our patrons over here. These guys are really picking us up on their shoulders
No.
and take this to the future of that What We Do Gamer in this company, and I'm so excited to see the future.
Sodium
It's back.
chloride
It's back.
is,
Here's a link to the Defendant on
or
screen.
anything in
Check that
excess
out.
is bad.
If you're new here, hit that subscribe button.
As per the side effects,
and,
I
hey,
don't
leave a comment. Tell me
honestly
what
know.
your favorite game on the show was so far. Let us know in the
But,
comments
you know,
below. See you
you
next week.
probably-
with a brand new episode of The Completionist.
you're probably better
Thank
off
you so
never
much, and
knowing.
buy my merch. I'm bad at self-promoting. I'm really bad at it. I'm out.
Ooh. Sure. Oh yeah, let's heal with Veil. I wouldn't have minded using the items. I mostly just hoard them anyway. But why would I waste an opportunity to flex? Huh. A static boss that does not wish to engage. Interesting. Can't say I've seen weirder. Oh, I can get it via row at level 4. Yeah, I'll focus on Inspire. only gets stronger and the TP cost along with it. Yeah, look at that. 1, 2, 3 attack without any weapons. That's just crazy. No secrets. No, it's another school of fish. I don't have time for these. Oh, how lovely. Wait, that's everywhere. Perhaps. It's time to look at my handy dandy trusty walkthrough. Wow, I missed quite a bunch of shortcuts. Apparently there's an entrance around here, but we can't access it yet. I see. I am a fool. Ah, someone help. Ow. Alright, this is bad. Hey, no, I'm not. need to go back apparently, I think. Oh, well, there is something I can get. Oops. Oh, I found her. Whoops. I hope there's no fight. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Explorers of Uriai, do you still intend to proceed ever onward to the deep city? Go home if you value your lives. Your continued search for the deep city will be your deaths. I do not do this lightly, but you have ignored my warnings and persisted in your quest. No! It's weak to sleep, which is fucking worthless. Damn. I have no other choice. I must... Stand down, loyal servant of the Abyssal King. Your duty is done. Leave the rest to your king. And you, small ones, mark me well. We have our own designs in stopping you. You have your own circumstances. Naturally, such is the world. This sea bead has power over this grove. Use it to make your way through the labyrinth to me. Ocean Master Katos shall greet you. Overcome this trial to gain free entry to the deep city. Really? Just like that? I suppose this is goodbye, members of Yuri-Eye. I doubt we'll ever meet again. Well, that was a thing.
Yes.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the brand new episode of The Conclusion.
Bullshit.
In the past few days, we've got some society news about Resident Evil, the final chapter. As we all know, this is not the final chapter. Maybe for the film franchise, but not for any fans at home. We're gonna remember how bad this whole franchise was. But today, let's try and appreciate the whole.
Alright, I guess I'm just running back.
Next in our section of the Resident Evil franchise was Ross Payne's Resident Evil Nemesis, or Resident Evil 3. Nemesis has a rocket launcher. Okay, explain that next. So, I got popcorn, got soda, like the gaming version. That'd be great.
Cool.
These days, the Resident Evil franchise has permeated comics, toys, a god-awful film series, and even Etsy products. Look, someone made a Leon Kennedy wig, but allow me to take you back to the mid to late 90s. The first two Resident Evil games had enjoyed widespread popularity, but the series was still relatively new and unexplored. But if you let any successful horror franchise run for long enough, they'll eventually start experimenting with some weird shit. Jason Voorhees took that hat. Chucky got married and had a creepy baby. But Resident Evil? Oof. Resident Evil reached a point where it felt confident enough to create a game that starred everyone's favorite faceless mercenary Hunk in a mission to retrieve a sample of the G-Virus from a luxury cruise liner. Aw, you guys remember Hunk, right? He's that one dude who pops up every now and then in a short post-campaign mission and says absolutely nothing. No? No one? Okay, well, luckily and thankfully, his game was canceled. But in order to fill the gap and keep fans from waiting too long for another Resident Evil title, Capcom plucked a small spin-off game from the sidelines, which no team had been working on, by the way. Originally, this sideline project was known as Biohazard 1.9, and it starred a brand new protagonist who whose aim was to escape from an infected Raccoon City. But once the game had been promoted to a full-fledged mainline title, Jill Valentine's familiar face was then brought into a place to die. Sorry, we never got the game. The name of the game was also changed to Resident Evil 3 in order to keep it in line with the other mainline Resident Evils on the PlayStation console. But the changes did not stop there. There were plenty of other gameplay innovations as well. The game featured eerie exterior environments, new combat moves for the player to perform, and Nemesis, the game's persistent, autonomous antagonist. All these missions were just hints at how much Capcom was willing to risk for one of their flagship titles. When it was finally released in 1999, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis quickly became a bestseller and won over the fans. Critics loved its innovations, as well as how it held on to the things that made previous Resident Evils so awesome. Now, Nemesis has become one of the more popular branches of the Resident Evil lore. It had its very own god-awful movie, and basically everyone and their mom knows who Nemesis is. This guy was an ultimate follower scout on 3, for God's sakes. He may not say very much, but it's very clear how the big guy feels about his popularity. You may think you can see his teeth because of his cavity lips, but again, he's smiling. He's a happy boy. Now, even though this is Resident Evil 3, most of the game actually takes place just before the events of Resident Evil 2. Our main character and narrator is none other than Jill Valentine, one of the first 2 playable characters from the first Resident Evil game. But I guess living through a torturous, horrifying experience like the Spencer Mansion incident makes a whole new demeanor, because now Jill's obsessed with bringing down Umbrella, a sinister organization that controls all of Raccoon City, and whose public face is that of a benevolent pharmaceutical company. If you think about it, that would be like CVS secretly owning the entirety of Burbank, California. Wait a minute. There's a whole bunch of CVS in Burbank. Everyone get out of Burbank! Jill may sound like a raving conspiracy theorist, but she believes that something really bad is about to go down. So, she prepares to escape from the city by getting her hair done and throwing on a tube goblin miniskirt. Woo! Technical gear. Meanwhile, the inevitable zombie outbreak has already begun, and things aren't looking too good for the citizens of Raccoon City. The virus has already ravaged the populace, and there are zombies everywhere. But like Jill, the rest of the cops actually attempt to do their jobs instead of abandoning their posts. But maybe Jill hasn't run a hit after all, because they do get ran through.
I want to continue the ocean quest before I go, so why not?
You had the girl cornered, yet you allowed her to escape. The youth these days. But then Kujira tells me that the danger was such that the sentry team was decimated. Moreover, the information you brought us along with our own may open the way to the Deep City. The time may be right to issue a mission to find the Deep City and fulfill my long-dreamt wish. And that's where we stand. The woman escaped, but it wasn't a total loss. We have you to thank. I'll need that sea bead you said you were given in exchange for your reward.
Nice.
If you're willing to go deeper, all the way to the Deep City, accept the next mission. As I thought, Il Jurii, I assume you'd be the ones to accept this mission. That sea bead you retrieved apparently controls the currents within the labyrinth. Kujira and the sentries say they found a suspicious spot. Kujira, explain your findings to them.
I don't have many details for you, but we discovered something on B6. One of the men found something unusual surrounded by the current. I checked it myself. It was a vertically flowing whirlpool. I got the sense that it was artificial, not natural. There was also a pedestal that would have supported something about the sea bid's size. You may be holding the key to further progress. Now if you'll excuse me, I must be off to visit the wounded.
there you have it. I'll give you the CB to take back to the 6th floor. If it indeed unlocks a path ahead, there's no need to check in with us first. Find the Deep City. Be very careful though. This mission will be much more perilous than the previous ones. But we won't find the location of that Deep City unless we continue to press forward. Let nothing bar your path to the Deep City, and come to me for your reward when you succeed.
Oh, is that the key to open the moon stuff? I need to check this real quick and see if that is the case. Never mind. Alright. I have no idea where we're supposed to use this bead on, but oh yeah, the Noratsumi Guild. I actually forgot about them. I actually interacted with them already, and I thought I was forgetting something. Alright, so we're supposed to unlock something by now, but instructions are a bit unclear, and right now my priority is to set sail. Ooh. No. I can't check it. AM. Where the heck is the weapon zone? Well, shit. I made a mistake in my routing. I can do this. Yo, look at that big fish. 2, 4, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, north 1, east 2. Oh damn. Well, that wasn't worth it. Okay, I think I need the cannon for that one. Alright. Made a profit. Eh. Sure, I just wasted my time. Ooh, a shield. Recommend at level 19. I want to try getting to Tortuga Island. West. 2, 4, 6. South of the current. Okay. That was random. West to the edge. 2, west, 2, investigate. Four, 6. South 4. Hell yeah, I'm making cash. Apparently we need to go back, complete the quest properly. Hell yeah. How do we fire the cannon? Epic. Right, I'll end there. Oh, I forgot to upscale the video. I did it.